Hello and welcome to another yoga session. So glad that you're here today. This is going to be a gentle 30-minute yoga class. So we are just going to stay pretty low to the ground. We're going to stay really mellow and just get the body a little open. You will need a yoga block or some sort of stack of books or something that'll work as a solid object to elevate yourself on. And then if you would like a blanket because you have sensitive knees, you'll go ahead and grab that. We're going to start seated today. Any comfortable seat will do. I'm going to start in Sukhasana or easy pose, cross-legged. And I'm elevating my hips up on a block. So it's really nice to have your hips higher than your knees to allow the fronts of the hips to relax. As you get settled in, you'll close the eyes. Let the hands rest somewhere on the body that feels good. Release your jaw. Release the muscles of your face, especially the space between the eyebrows. And draw your attention towards your breath. No need to put your hands in it yet and start to manipulate the breath, but just observe. Notice the place in the body where you feel the breath the most. And then begin to smooth out the breath. Lengthen out the breath. See if with each inhale, you can reach the crown of the head a little higher. And each exhale, you can ground through the sits bones and the legs more. On your next inhale, the arms will sweep overhead, palms will meet, and then exhale, draw the hands to heart center. Bow the chin towards the chest. Gently flutter the eyes open, and then lift the gaze. If your hips are elevated on something or you're not cross-legged, you'll remove the prop and then find both sits bones on the ground and the feet crossed. We'll begin with some Sufi grinds, so circling the upper body on top of the legs. So this movement often begins really from the rib cage and the chest, but see if you can start getting the hips involved. So you're rolling to the front and back sides of the sits bones. Your shoulders may begin to get involved, rounding forward as the spine goes back, pulling back as the spine goes forward. Finding nice big circles to start. And then we'll begin to make the circles slightly smaller and smaller and smaller until eventually you're vertical again. And still, you might still feel the reverberation of that movement in the body. And then you'll circle the opposite direction. Again, the upper body is really shifting the weight, but notice if your hips are involved, and if they're not, see if you can roll to the front, sides, and backs of the sits bones so that you're really integrating the low spine that meets the hips in this movement. These should be your biggest circles yet. And then you'll begin to take the circles a little bit smaller, a little bit more towards the midline, until you eventually find stillness. Take a deep breath in, and an exhale through the mouth, release. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, palms will meet, and then exhale, twist towards the right. The left hand finds the right knee. The right hand comes behind the right hip. Ground down through the sits bones and the right fingertips, reach the crown of the head up. So you might take your chin towards the right, or you can leave the chin in line with the center of the chest. So it's a little bit more of a mid and low spine twist than through the cervical spine, the neck. Then keep your left hand where it is. Inhale, reach the right arm up to the sky, and then exhale, side bend towards the front left corner of the room. Keep grounding your right sits bone down. The right pinky finger spins downward as the ribs spin upward. Take a big inhale into the right lung. Exhale the right hand to the left knee. Round the spine, shift your weight back a little bit and push your knees into your hands. Inhale, sweep the arms to the sky, palms will meet. And then exhale, twist towards the left. Right hand finds the left knee, left fingertips behind the left hip. Lift through the heart, and then spin around that axis. Again, either taking the twist all the way through the top of the spine, or keeping the chin centered on the sternum. Next, inhale, reach the left arm up, and then exhale, side bend towards the front right corner. Ground the left sits bone. Use the bottom arm as leverage to turn the heart up towards the sky. The top arm is reaching long. There's a little bit of energy through the fingertips. Take a big inhale into the left lung. And then exhale the left hand to the right knee around the spine. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, roll over your shins and find your way to table pose. The shoulders will stack over the wrists, the hips over the knees. Or if you'd like, you can take a bit of a wider stance. Hands will go a little further forward, knees will go a little further back. And then begin to work through some cat-cows. So arching the spine and rounding the spine. And adding any other movements that might feel good. So we're just playing with this idea of arching and rounding the spine. You might circle out the ribs. You might circle out the hips. There's really no wrong answer here. Maybe you even close the eyes and listen to what the body needs. Take 2 more rounds of breath. Just wiggling, moving. And then find a neutral spine. Stack the wrists underneath the shoulders, the hips over the knees. On your next inhale, sweep the right arm out and up towards the sky. And then exhale, thread the right arm behind the left hand. The left arm will begin to bend. The right temple will come down to the mat. You can either stay right here or pop onto your left fingertips, point the elbow up, and use this to turn the heart towards the sky. Or reach the left fingertips forward. Root the tops of the feet down. Gently pull your right arm back towards your right shoulder, and then spin your heart towards the sky. So there's a little bit of tractioning. You'll feel an opening in the right shoulder blade or underneath it. Allow your left hand to return underneath the left shoulder. Inhale the right arm out and up towards the sky. And exhale, place the hand down. Inhale the left arm out and up. And then exhale, thread it through. Right arm bends. Left temple lands. And then again, either tenting onto your right fingertips, leaving the elbow up, or reaching the arm all the way forward. Spin the heart up towards the sky. See if you can find a little more ease and relax in the legs. Right hand comes underneath the right shoulder. Inhale the left arm out and up. And exhale back to table pose. Walk your hands forward, one hand print, tuck the toes under, and make your way to downward facing dog, lifting the hips. You can keep the knees really bent here. I'm keeping mine extra bent. This allows for my spine to lengthen a little bit more. I press my hands down and forward to lift my sits bones higher. Next, inhale, roll forward to plank pose, stacking shoulders over wrists. And then exhale, drop knees, belly, and chest down to the mat. You'll untuck the toes. The right arm is going to reach out towards the right. So it can either be straight and flat on the floor, or it can bend here, just like this, is at a 90-degree angle, so that the elbow is in line with the shoulder. The left fingertips will come underneath the left shoulder, and then you'll press into the left hand and roll onto the right side of the body. The left foot can either step behind the leg, or you can keep the feet stacked. So this sensation will be a lot stronger if the arm is bent at a 90-degree angle. So if it's too much, go ahead and straighten the arm out. If it's not enough, try bending the arm 90 degrees. Full breaths into the front of the right shoulder where you're feeling this opening. Take one more inhale. And then exhale back to the belly. The left arm either goes straight out to the side, palm down, or the arm bends at a 90-degree angle, elbow in line with the shoulder. Right fingertips underneath the right shoulder, and then roll onto the left side of the body. Again, you can kickstand your right foot or just leave the legs long. You can keep your right arm exactly as it is for support. If your head is floating and it feels comfortable to land the left temple, you can release the head back down to the mat. Take one more inhale and exhale back to the belly. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck your toes, and make your way back to downward facing dog. Bend your right knee deeply and begin to stretch your left heel towards the ground. So opening up the back of the left leg. You might sink into your left hip just a bit, but keep pressing the arms down and forward, lifting the hips up and back. Then as gently as you can, you'll draw the right knee towards the chest, shift your weight forward, and step your right foot between the hands. Drop your left knee down and untuck the toes. So we're going to stay here in this low lunge. Allow the hips to shift forward. The collarbones are a little bit wide, so you might come up onto your fingertips. Take an inhale. And then you'll exhale, shift your hips back, begin to flex through your front foot and straighten the right leg any amount. So it may not go all the way straight, and that's totally fine. You'll oscillate between these two shapes. So inhale, shifting your hips forward. Exhale, shifting your hips back. You might begin to lift a little bit through the chest. Just let the arms dangle on your inhale and exhale. Continue on your breath. Inhale, shifting forward, and exhale, shifting back. So we're opening up the back of the right leg and the front of the left hip. Good. The next time you shift forward, pause there. The left arm will reach towards the front left corner of the mat, maybe on your fingertips, and then reach the right arm up to the sky. Lunge twist. You can stay right here, or bend your back knee, reach the arm back, and maybe find the foot. Drop the left shoulder down and away from the left ear. Pull the right shoulder back. Inhale, release the bind if you've got it. And then exhale, right hand comes inside the right leg. Tuck the left toes, lift the knee, and then walk your hands towards the long edge of your mat. Parallel the feet. Finding Prasarita, so wide-legged forward fold. And then as you're ready, you'll release the head down. The heels of the hands can align with the heels of the feet. They can reach forward. Whatever feels comfortable. You can keep the knees bent. If they're bent, keep the knees widening out towards the toes. On your inhale, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, walk your hands back over to your right leg. You'll find your low lunge and then step back to downward facing dog. You'll begin to bend deeply through your left knee so that the right heel reaches further towards the ground. Opening up the back of the right leg. Keep shifting the hips up and back. Keep the arms engaged. Then begin to draw the left knee towards your chest, shift your weight forward, and then step the left foot forward between the hands. You'll drop your right knee down and untuck the toes. Shift your hips forward as you inhale, broaden through the collarbones. And then exhale, shift the hips back, flex your left foot, straightening the left leg any amount. And then you'll continue. Inhale, shift forward, maybe lifting through the chest. Exhale, shifting back. Moving on your breath. Following the breath with your mind. One last round. And then the next time you shift forward, you'll pause. The right fingertips will reach towards the front right corner of the mat, and then reach the left arm up to the sky for a twist. You can stay right here or bend your back knee, reach back with the left hand and find the foot. This is just for a little additional front of hip opening. Staying in the twist is perfectly acceptable. Inhale, release the bind if you've got it. Exhale, the left hand comes down inside the left foot. Lift the back knee, walk your hands around the long edge of your mat, parallel the feet, and then fold forward. If the floor feels really far away, you'll want to place something underneath your hands. Maybe shake the head yes, shake the head no. Next, inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, walk your hands back towards your left leg, low lunge, and then downward facing dog. Inhale, drop the knees down, and then exhale, make your way to child's pose. The knees can go a little wider, the big toes will touch. Shift the hips back, and then drop the forehead down. Take a few rounds of breath here, focusing your breath into the low back of the ribs. So inhale into the back of the rib cage where the kidneys are. Exhale, heavy the hips. Continuing to fill that space with the breath. Next, inhale, take the gaze between the thumbs, pop onto your fingertips, and then exhale, walk the hands over towards the right. Pull the left hip crease back. Release the forehead and the hands back down if that feels comfortable. Maybe reach your left arm a little longer, or pull the left hip crease back. So we're really lengthening the left side of the body. Inhale, walk through center. Exhale over to the left. Inch the right fingertips a little further forward, pull the right hip crease back, and then release down if that feels comfortable. Next, inhale, come through center. And then exhale, walk your hands back towards your knees until you're sitting. And then you'll just sit off to one side and find a seat. So we're going to take pretty intense hip opener here, so it's not necessarily going to feel gentle, but it is going to be good for the hips. So the left leg will go underneath. You can either bend the leg or straighten it. You'll see how that feels here in a moment. And then the right leg is going to cross right ankle over the left knee. So my shins are parallel to the front of my mat. You can see my right knee is really lifted here, and this isn't always the most comfortable, so I might just cross the right shin over in front of the left. Otherwise, I'll keep it here. If this is way too much, you can also extend the left leg straight out in front of you and just cross the right knee over. Find a variation that works for you, and then as you're ready, you'll begin to fold forward. Walking your hands forward any amount. If it starts to feel like a lot, you can always take another variation. And then if you have a block or an object that you could use to support the head, you can bring the forehead to a prop. Both sits bones are still grounded, tuning into the breath. Next, inhale, lengthen the spine, and walk the hands back. We're just going to simply switch to the other side. So the right leg is going to be underneath this time. Either the left ankle crosses over the right knee, shins parallel to the front of the space. If this feels like a whole lot, you can just cross the ankle in front of the other shin, or leave the left ankle over the right knee and extend the right leg forward. So I'm going to take this variation on this side. You'll begin to fold forward any amount. And maybe find some place to rest the forehead. If your prop still feels really far away, you can stack a fist or two on top and rest your forehead there. Keep flexing through the left foot, so this helps to protect the knee joint. Take one more full round of breath here. And then your next inhale, you begin to lengthen the spine. Uncross the legs. You'll plant both feet on the ground and begin to windshield wiper the knees side to side. Hands can just be behind the hips. Then you'll extend both legs out in front of you. Flex the feet, maybe lift up your hips and shift them back just a bit so you're really on top of your sits bones. Flex your feet. And then fold forward. Arms can reach forward and just land wherever feels comfortable. That may be grabbing onto the feet. It might just be hands outside either side of the legs. You can allow the spine to round so the head just releases. Again, see if you can take the breath into the back where there's a little more space. Flex through the feet for a little more intense of a stretch. On your next inhale, lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale, have your prop nearby. You'll roll all the way down to your back. The upper body will land, and then you'll bend the knees in towards the chest. You can wrap your arms around them, give them a good squeeze, maybe rock side to side. And then plant the feet on the ground, heels as close to the sits bones as possible, about hips distance apart. So your fingertips should be able to graze your heels. You'll find your prop and you'll probably use it on the medium setting or have about 6 inches of height from books or whatever you might have. You'll press down into the feet and lift the hips. And then you'll slide your prop underneath your sacrum. So that's the triangular bone right at the base of the spine. So you're not supporting your low back, but you're even a little lower than that. And then you just rest. You can allow the hands to find a place in the body that feels comfortable for you to rest your hands, maybe on your hips, maybe on the belly, or the arms down by the sides. Take full rounds of breath. And then option to stay here, or you might decide to bring your knees up towards the sky. So my hips are being supported by the block. And then you might leave the legs bent or take the feet straight up towards the sky. So this is a really gentle inversion. If you're on your cycle, you may want to skip this portion. Some women don't like to invert during that time. Otherwise, this can be really nice for the whole system to just have a different perspective. Flush the blood out from the legs back up towards the heart. Continue to breathe. Eventually your legs will bend, and then see if you can place the feet back to the floor at the same time. We'll come out of this in 2 phases. So if you've got a prop, you're going to switch it to the lowest setting here in a moment. If you've got books, you might just remove a few. So you're going to press down through your feet to lift the hips. Switch the setting so it's just about 3 inches, and then release the hips back down. Take a breath in and a full breath out. 2 more just like that. So they're not rushed, they're just full, easy breaths. Allowing it to flow naturally. And then after those 2 rounds of breath, you'll press into your feet and remove any remaining props you've got. Release the hips all the way to the ground, just nice and slow. And then take the heels out, knock the knees in, place 1 hand on the heart, 1 hand on the belly, and breathe. As you're ready, hug your knees in towards your chest. We'll take one last twist here on our backs. So I'm going to drop both my knees over towards the right. Allow the legs to land. If they're not quite landing, you might place a prop underneath them. And then the arms will either T or cactus. The gaze might look over the left shoulder. Feel your breath go into the left side of the ribs. Next, inhale, bring the knees through center, and then exhale, take them over to the other side. Over towards the left. You might look over towards the right. Allow the legs to be heavy. Allow the right shoulder to heavy towards the ground. On your next inhale, your knees will come through center. And exhale, find your way to Shavasana. So the heels will reach towards the front corners of the mat. The arms down by the side, palms face up. And you'll rest. So this is where I'll leave you. You're free to rest here as long as you'd like. Hopefully your body is feeling a little more open, and hopefully this inspires you to find someplace else in your life where you can be a little more gentle. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.